Hi, boys and girls. I've got my Pens jersey on today, and I'm going to read The Wind in the Willows, The Riverbank. And this book actually is a small version, just one of the parts of the story of the actual Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. That's actually a big book. It's a big story. So this is just a little part of it, and it's one of my favorites. So I'm going to read this to you today. It's got some great illustrations in it, illustrated by Holly Hannon. And here we go. "Oh, bother!" cried the mole. He had been working very hard all morning, spring cleaning his little home. He had dust in his throat and eyes and splashes of paint all over his fur. But spring was moving all around him, calling him to go outside. So it was no surprise when he flung down his brush onto the floor. "Oh, darn! Hang the spring cleaning," he said. He headed up for the steep little tunnel. "Up we go," he said, and he scraped and scratched and scrabbled and scrooged, working busily with his little paws. And there's Mole. Can you see it? Yeah. There's Mole there, and he's cleaning his house, and then he's like, forget it, let's go out. Let's go out, it's pretty springtime. At last, pop! His snout came out into the sunlight, and he found himself rolling in the warm grass of a great meadow. "This is better than painting," he said. In the delight of spring without its cleaning, he rambled through the meadow until he reached the hedge on the far side. The sunshine warmed his fur, and a gentle wind blew the spring air about him. "This is fine," he said to himself. Suddenly he came to a river. Never in his life had he ever seen a river before. All was a shake and a shiver, glints and gleams and sparkles, rustle and swirl, chatter and bubble. Mole was fascinated. There's Mole coming out of his burrow, and he's in the meadow with the flowers. In a dark hole in the opposite bank, just above the water's edge, something bright and small twinkled. As Mole gazed at the hole, he saw it wink at him. His wink. It was an eye. I wonder what that is. Over there on the other side of the river. A little brown face with whiskers gradually appeared. Small, neat ears and thick, silky hair topped the face. It was the water rat! The two animals stood and looked at each other curiously. "Hello, Mole," said the water rat. "Hello, Rat," said the mole. "Would you like to come over?" the rat asked. "Oh, it's all very well to talk," said the mole. He thought Rat was teasing him because he did not know how to get to the opposite bank. So there he is over there, saying, "Come on over." But the rat stepped into a little boat and paddled briskly across the river to Mole. Then he held up his front paw as the mole carefully stepped down. "Lean on that," Rat said. "Now then, step lively." And the mole, to his surprise and delight, found himself seated in the stern of a real boat. "This has been a wonderful day," Mole said. "Do you know, I've never been in a boat before in my whole life." "What?" cried the rat, open-mouthed. "What have you been doing?" "It's the only thing," said the water rat. "Believe me, my young friend, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, half as much worth doing as messing about in boats." "Messing about," he went on dreamily. "About in boats. Look ahead, Rat!" cried the mole suddenly. It was too late. The boat struck the bank full tilt, and Rat lay at the bottom of the boat. So here they go, getting on the boat. Rat picked himself up with a laugh. "Ha! Look, if you've really nothing else to do, let's go down to the river and make a day of it." Mole wiggled his toes from sheer happiness. "Let's start at once." "Hold on a minute," said the rat. He tied the boat to a tree and climbed back into his hole. Soon he reappeared with a fat wicker luncheon basket. "Shove that under your feet," he said to the mole. The mole trailed a paw into the water while the water rat paddled steadily. "What a jolly life," said Mole, and the rat happily agreed. After a time, Rat brought the boat back up to the bank and secured it. His friend spread the tablecloth on the grass. "Oh my!" cried the mole, and he opened the packages of food. They ate and watched Toad rowing badly down the stream. Rat sighed. He'll be out of the boat in a minute if he rolls like that. There's them with the picnic basket, and there's them watching Toad try to row down the river. Toad is another good character in this story. When Mole finished packing the luncheon basket, Rat began to paddle home. Mole already felt quite at home a bit in the boat and said, "Ratty, please, I want to row now." The rat shook his head with a smile. "Not yet, my young friend," he said. "Wait till you've had a few lessons. It's not as easy as it looks." The mole was quiet for a minute or two. He began to feel kind of jealous of Rat. Suddenly, he jumped up and grabbed the oars. Rat was taken by surprise and fell backwards off his seat. Stop it, you silly fool," cried Rat. The mole made a great dig at the water. He missed the surface altogether, and the next moment, splash! Over went the boat, and Mole found himself struggling in the river. Oh, there's Rat and Mole falling out of the boat. Wonder if they're going to get back in. Oh my, how cold the water was. But he was sinking. Then Rat's firm paw gripped him by the back of the neck. Laughing, Rat pushed the helpless animal ashore. He rubbed Mole down and wrung some of the wetness out of him. "Now sit in the sun until you're warm and dry while I dive for the luncheon basket." When Rat returned, he and the mole took their places in the boat. "Ratty, I'm sorry. I have been a fool. Will you forgive me?" "That's all right," Rat said cheerfully. "Look here, I really think you had better stay with me for a little while. I'll teach you to roll and swim, and soon you'll be as handy as the rest of us." The mole was so touched by the rat's kindness he couldn't speak. They went home and had a cheerful supper in front of the fire. So there's Rat getting the picnic basket out and Mole sitting by the tree feeling all sorry for himself. Looking sad. This day was only the first of many like it for Mole. Each of them was longer and fuller of interest as the summer progressed. Mole learned to swim and row, and life on the river was splendid for him. And with his ear to the reed stems, he could sometimes catch what the wind was whispering among them. And there's Rat and Mole having a good old time in the river. All right, boys and girls, that's the end of The Wind in the Willows, and I'll be back again to read you another book. Bye.